It was a rocky start where I did lose probably like 40, 50K. Prop firms actually didn't believe in them. I was like, this is such a waste. I could just be doing this on my live account. It was recommended an automated bot service by a friend, and they said this returns 5% a month. I was like, that's BS. And it was like a $20,000 sign up fee. I was like, whatever, I'll do it. Put 100K in. I bumped it to 400K. I was like, screw it. I got that sucked into it. August of 2024, I woke up and my account was gone. That was when I was like, okay, I can do a better job than this. I'm going to build something, because I saw the value in auto trading and the value in tools at that point. That's when I created TradeBeacon. That has probably made me more money. I kind of just gave you all the trading setups I use currently.
How much have you earned from prop firm accounts?
It's over 50K at this point. In my opinion, if a lot of these traders do that, I think they'll find success.
Hey Stanzie, I appreciate you joining me here today. I'm excited to get to know you and more about your background here in trading futures. So just to kick it off, maybe you can start with your background, where you got your start, how you first got into trading futures, and really what drew you to the prop firm route.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me on here. Great to be on here. I think this is a good opportunity to kind of share how I got to where I am and share some lessons that I learned along the way. So initially, I began investing right out of college. I started working at Microsoft when I graduated, and, I was getting paid decent money, and, I figured I'm just going to grow this money. I wouldn't really look at my accounts much. I would just kind of auto invest all of it. And then around COVID time, I think 2020, basically they said work home. So then I was at home, and, when you're at home, you're kind of more distracted and you can look at other stuff. So I'd be looking at the markets, and that's when I kind of started getting into day trading more. And initially you kind of get that dopamine rush of making a bunch of money, and then all of a sudden you lose a bunch. So it was a rocky start where I did lose probably like 40, 50K my first, 6, 7 months. And then after that, I kind of started getting a hang of it. And initially it was mainly just options that I was doing, short-term options for my day trading, and it was going great. But then I discovered futures maybe a year into it, and it was like a huge click for me. It was like, oh, I don't have to deal with theta. I don't have to deal with worrying about which expiration to buy, which strike to buy. I can kind of just trade price, and based on if it goes up or down, I'll make or lose money. So then I started trading futures, and I had a huge success with that. What I would do is I would track liquidity in the market, and I would do swing trades off that. And for a long time, the market traded very close to liquidity, and it was a great way to predict where the market will go. Eventually it stopped working, and that was a stressful time, because this model that I'd used for my trading, which was making me all this money, now it was becoming very stressful because the market was not doing what I thought it would do. But I still persevered on, and then I discovered prop firms after that. And prop firms it was like, initially I actually didn't believe in them. I was like, this is such a waste. I could just be doing this on my live account and making just as much money right away, not having to worry about following all these rules. And then a friend of mine, he was kind of showing me, hey, I'm making all this money, and at the most I'm losing maybe $200 if I blow my account. I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm also making this money, and I don't have to worry about following all these rules. But then he would keep getting these payouts, and then it kind of got me intrigued. And that's when I was like, okay, I'll try this. And at first I did Apex, and I got paid out like a few times, and I was like, okay, that was really cool. Like, let me maybe do a bit more of this on the side. I was still doing my live trading and my live investing, which was definitely paying me much more, but this was great, like weekly side income that I was getting. So that's when I kind of got more, I don't want to say sucked into it, but I started like dedicating more time to just doing prop trading on the side, especially for my day trading. A lot of my day trading turned into prop trading now. And then, yeah, it's honestly been a pretty smooth road for me. Like I haven't really hit a huge road bump in my prop trading journey. And I think a huge reason for that is because I had all this experience trading on my live account, learning the risk management, learning what to do and what not to do. And it kind of hones those skills even more because you're kind of forced to be much more careful when you're trading these prop accounts, because if you even hit a drawdown limit that you were completely fine with on your own account, you're done. You have to start over.
Yeah.
So it took a little bit of getting used to, but I never really hit much road bumps. And eventually I switched over to Topstep just because I thought their rules were a bit more relaxed, and it would just kind of, like for my trading, many times I do kind of average in a few times, like 3 or 4 times if I need to, and I'll use a wider stop loss. With Apex, that was an issue. I know at one point they really were like denying payouts if you averaged in more than twice, or if you hit like a 30%. I forget the exact rule, but there were some rules that were kind of annoying to stick to. So then I switched over to Topstep, and that's what I've stuck to the whole time. And then I eventually hit enough payouts where they turned my account to a live account. And that was probably the biggest payout I took. It was only about 4 or 5K, but I was consistently getting, like 700-800 a week, whatever it was. Just because I keep it pretty safe. I keep my sizing low on prop. I know a lot of people love to trade minis on prop. I rarely do minis. I stick to micros.
Yeah.
Because I just want consistent payouts. I don't want to blow my account and start over. And I'm okay not having, I don't know, I see people posting like 20, 30K payouts per week, which is insane.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do that. I would probably
many accounts, right?
That's probably how, like you basically have to run through a lot of accounts to get those type of payouts, which is just not my style. Even if I look at my own live trading outside of prop, I wouldn't say I'm like a super conservative investor and trader, but in a way, I'm risk averse. Like, for example, the options I do now I don't do any short-term options, rarely. Like I'll do it with a few $100 as for my day trading, but
sure,
almost all my options are leaps. And I invest in safer companies. I'll use leverage though, but it'll be in companies that I know will do well, and I'll go like 2 years out on my options.
Right.
And that's a way to basically get not free, but it's a way to get cheap leverage. Like, you don't really have to go through the downsides of options such as theta. And you can own, for example, 50K worth of NVIDIA for the cost of 10K or 5K and get those same returns by owning these super far out leaps, which is kind of a huge, it's a huge way of how I invest nowadays. And it's how I've beaten the market for the past few years.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
I have kind of a similar story with futures myself, starting with live futures before I moved into prop. And one of the things I wanted to, sort of circle back to was how you translated some of your risk management techniques from live futures trading over to prop trading. Because for me, that was a struggle. I was much more willing to take larger drawdowns in my live futures account because the upside was risk adjusted, right? Where I might be willing to risk 3,000 or 4,000 in drawdown for the day because I stand to gain 10 or 15K by the end of the week, just depending on how long I held that futures contract for. And generally, I would hold for sometimes 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because I would swing trade futures, which you can't really do in prop firm accounts. So I don't know about you, but it was hard for me to move to more of an intraday approach and to a model that kept that risk a lot tighter.
Mm-hmm. So when I mentioned the liquidity-based swings that I did, that's what you're saying is what I was doing. Like,
yeah,
I was there were times like I would not use a stop. Like I would just be like, liquidity. I had gotten that confident in this model because that's how well it had worked. I would set out, I'd be like, I'm going to accumulate 20 contracts down to this level if we get this below with a target of this. And that range could be like 100 points on the ES, which is huge.
Yeah.
And over over that range, I would accumulate my contracts. Now I would be down. I think the most I was down on a swing was 70 or 80K. And I would not bat an eye. I'd be like, this will be fine. I've done this 10 other times and it's worked out fine.
Yeah.
And it did for the most part. And then towards the end is when I was like, okay, this is not working. Like, liquidity is saying the market should be going way down and we're just going up, up and up.
Right.
So that's when I kind of, when that happened a couple times in a row, that's when I realized, okay, I need to figure out something else. Like, and that's sense. When I started using futures for more scalping and day trading. Because back then, all my scalping was options. Like I said, it was just 0DT options, and it was working okay. But like I said, I preferred futures. So then once I got to that, I just applied the same rules that I did for my options, and I used mainly zone-based trading. My trading has evolved a bit since then, but that's still about 90% of what I do. I just use supply demand with stop losses below your demand zone if you're going for longs, and then vice versa for shorts. And I just applied those same rules. And I think the main thing that people mess up with on prop is their sizing. If you size too high, you have to use tighter stop losses. There's no way around it. And to be correct with a tighter stop loss, much harder, slightly wider stop loss, and going for a slightly less risk to reward. So a lot of my trades are not even 1.0 risk to reward. They'll usually be around 0.7 or 0.8 in that area. And it just will increase your win percentage more. Sure, some people say that in the very long run, you won't succeed if you have a low risk to reward ratio. I think that maybe that might hold some truth in live trading, but when you're trading prop and your drawdown's already limited, I think you can abuse that and use that rule to have these lower risk to reward ratio trades and reach your payout level and take your money, and just keep going pretty much. Yeah.
I think we just discovered that you also uncovered that a method for success is what a lot of people on Twitter are calling negative RR, which you correctly pointed out that the ratio is basically just less than 1. So you're risking $1 to make 70 cents essentially, right? In many cases. Yeah. We discovered the same thing here at Traders Post. We've been playing with that technique as well. In many cases, it's the kind of thing where because the take is so close and you can get to a take profit quickly, 5 or 10 points on NQ, for example, the win rates are really high, usually around 80 or 90%. I don't know where you have fallen on your.
That's about right. Yeah. Like 70 to 90 in that range.
Yeah.
And then also I'm just a more long bias trader in this current market.
Yeah, of course, so and you should be.
I would recommend sticking to mostly long trades. It's not that I don't take shorts. It's just much more rare for me to take shorts currently. And just if you use that negative risk reward, like you said, with primarily long trades in this market, it's really hard to lose, especially if you size properly.
Yeah. And since you're trading micros, you've got that risk under control.
Yeah.
So is it mainly just the MES contracts that you're trading on Topstep?
No, I do a lot of MNQ, and I actually do more MNQ compared to MES.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what would you say, other than just the risk management part, keeping things scalped, keeping things pretty tight, going with a less than 1 risk to reward ratio, was there any other type of turning point or aha moment that helped you find consistency in the prop accounts?
Yeah. And I'm not trying to push my own service here, but I started an automated tool service, as I've told you, where basically the issue was, I'll just quickly go over a quick story which kind of leads me into why I created this in the first place.
Sure, go for it.
So before I had any automated trading experience, I was recommended an automated bot service by a friend, and they said this returns 5% a month. I was like, that's BS. That will not survive. 2 months later, or maybe 3 months later, he shows me, look, 5% every single month, past 3 months. And I was like, okay, I'll just look into it. And the service, they had this, it's a Forex bot trading service, and they're with Forex. There's this website called My FX Book where you can link a live account to it, and you can see its performance since it started, because it just tracks the performance. So they had this public account, and it had been going for like, I think 3 years, and it was literally averaging 5% a month. There would be months where it would make like 1 or 2, and then it'd make like 8 the next month. And for that long, so you can imagine the amount of money that account had made in 3 years.
For sure.
So at that point, I was like, okay, I'll try it. And it was like a $20,000 sign up fee. I was like, whatever, I'll do it. I did it, put 100K in. It, sure enough, averaged 5% a month for like 2 months. I bumped it to 400K. I was like, screw it. I got that sucked into it. I was like, this is pretty crazy for side income. I'll put $500,000 and just see how it does.
Yeah.
It was okay for a month or two. And then August of 2024, if you remember, the carry trade blew up. That carry trade thing had, or yen crashed.
Yep.
So I wish I had looked a bit closer into how this thing runs. I was under the impression it'll eventually hit a stop loss if a trade goes bad enough. How it worked was it would keep averaging in your trade because with Forex, you can use really tiny lot sizes, even smaller than micros. It would just keep averaging in and keep moving the take profit lower and lower, just to kind of like escape out of the trade. Mm-hmm. And that when yen went down, I don't remember if it went down or up, yen USD, but it went down in one direction. It was like a black swan. It had never moved this much this quick. I woke up and my account was gone. Oh. My whole account was
brutal,
basically wiped, and people lost millions, and people lost their retirements because they had their own chat and stuff, and you could talk to people, and people had like lost $4 or $5 million, their whole savings that they had basically put into the service. Oh. And I was like, oh my God, that's horrible. And that was when I was like, okay, I can do a better job than this. Like, I'm going to build something which helps my own trade, because I saw the value in auto trading and the value in tools at that point where I don't have to manually process everything on my screen in my head. I can visualize stuff. I can create something that'll kind of help me. That's when I created TradeBeacon.io, where I created tools which kind of evolved my trading. And I think they've helped me so much since I began trading, because now I can basically process stuff on my screen. The machine can do it for me. It can tell me, hey, even basic stuff like visualizing where a trend is, like visualizing is momentum in your direction, and spitting out divergences on the screen, which you don't have to manually look for it yourself. So stuff like that, which I added to my screen, I think it's basically made my trading like 2 or 3 times better. Just my success rate is much higher since then. So yeah, I think, like, going back to your original question of what else has helped me, I would say I track trend a lot. I use divergences. I do a lot of mean reversion trades on the hourly time frame, where I'll see if price is extended beyond its ATR bands.
Sure.
And that, just like those few things have just completely evolved my trading, because before it used to be only supply demand, which is cool. I still use supply demand, but having confluence with these other tools, it's extremely helpful. And I think it skyrocketed my win percentage, at least for trading.
Got it. Yeah, we're definitely, we have similar approaches. I usually use the 2-hour time frame for support and resistance. And then I try to look for extremes on oversold or overbought territories, but I use a mixture of what you're describing there. There's a fellow CMT in the space named Alex Spariglu, who wrote an indicator called the MACD-V indicator. And it's basically a combination of ATR and MACD. And because it's volatility normalized, you get this bounded range of overbought and oversold territories. And that's really, really helpful for finding those extreme areas of price action. It's been helpful for finding reversals. You might take a look at it, but
that sounds really good. Actually, I will afterwards.
Yeah, I'll send you the indicator. I actually wrote it in PineScript on TradingView. Well, that's super interesting. I think helping us understand how automation has played a role has definitely been insightful. So now that you have some of these trend-based indicators and some divergence tools, how would you describe your trading style like overall? I know you say you try to stick mostly on the long side. So does that mean you're still looking for oversold territories before you go long?
Yeah. So for example, there's a few setups that I've recently been using a lot. And I think my most successful, at least the highest winner, I would say I don't think I've lost a trade like this, although it's definitely possible to lose a trade like this, is I mentioned the average true range bands. So I've created like my own version of that. I've kind of tweaked the settings and added a few other things to kind of calculate where the band should be. I would give more details, but I don't think I'm allowed to.
A little bit of your IP here.
Yeah.
Sure.
So then I've created these bands, and I'll watch it on the hourly, and I'll stick to only longs when the bottom of the band is hit. I would say 90 to 95% of the time, it will bounce off the band. You'll at least get a scalpable move off the band, even if it eventually continues lower. So that has probably made me more money than anything else the past few months, ever since I've created it. So that's like my first priority. If I see that, I go in with good size on my real account as well as on prop. And then beyond that, I'll use, if that comes at the same time as an hourly divergence, and I just use a public divergence side indicator on TradingView. I think it's called like Divergence for Many Indicators V4 or something.
Okay.
I just slap that on with my ATR tool, and if that happens on the same candle or like the next or previous candle as the ATR, I'll put like 5% of my portfolio in a stop with a tighter stop, but it'll just I don't think I've seen it fail yet. It'll always mean revert. But I don't do shorts with it, even though they work a lot. I just don't. I feel like, I don't know. It's hard for me to short in this market. So I stick to the long.
You learned your lesson from COVID. We all thought it was going to keep going down, and it just recovered in no time.
It seems like longs always get rescued in this market. So, so I do that. And then what else do I use? We have a momentum tracking tool. It's called Turbo. It basically will look at tick and like what percentage of stocks are moving up. And if it gets high enough, normally the market continues even higher. So it kind of flashes on the screen. It'll draw a line under the price, be like, hey, we have bullish momentum right now. This is likely going to keep going up. So I use that a lot. I use that on lower time frames, on like 3 to 5 minute for quicker scalps. And then supply and demand. I have my manually drawn levels. I don't auto draw levels. I've tried that. I can't quite seem to get stuff to match with how I exactly want my levels drawn. So I still manually draw my zones. And if a strong zone gets tested, a demand zone gets tested, I'll attempt a long with a stop loss on the other side of the zone. So I do that a lot too. That's pretty much, I kind of just gave you all the trading setups I use currently. That's pretty much it.
Amazing. Appreciate that. I'm sure everybody listening will appreciate that as well. Do you have any other additional like non-negotiable rules that you layer on top of that when it comes to prop trading?
Ask yourself this. Are you making trading harder than it needs to be? If you're trading manually or still coding just to connect to your broker, it's time to upgrade. Traders Post lets you automate trades using signals from tools like TradingView or TrendSpider or even your own custom setup. It works with brokers like TradeStation, Trade8, Coinbase, and a bunch more. I've been using it myself, and getting started was smooth. The platform's clean, setup's quick, and once it's running, it just works. And when you're ready to scale, adding more strategies, plugging into prop firm accounts, or juggling multiple portfolios, Traders Post handles it. It's built to grow with you. Start your free trial at traderspost.io. Trade smarter, automate your edge.
I'll never exceed 1 mini worth of a contract. Like at most, like if I'm confident, I'll put the mini in. But I don't think very, very rarely I've exceeded that, and I'm not comfortable going beyond that.
Sure.
So I guess it goes back to sizing. I don't believe in sizing extremely high for prop accounts.
Well, clearly this has worked well for you because you're one of the few people I've interviewed that has been called to live in prop firm accounts. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey with Topstep, going from the sim funded accounts to a live account?
Yeah. I did sim funded for a long time, and I think you have to get 5 payouts if I remember correctly to be moved like in a row to get moved to live, and I would always hit around three, maybe four. I would get sometimes, and then I would end up blowing the account. But what I was doing was I would rotate. I would always have like 3 accounts on rotation. So I would hit my goal for one and right away, and I didn't link the accounts. It just allowed me to basically keep trading the whole market day. Like I would, when you have one account, a mistake you can make is you'll make like 400 or 500 bucks on it, and you want to keep going, and you'll eventually blow the account by over trading. When I had 3 accounts on rotation, I would hit my goal for one, I would lock it, and I would move on to the next one. So there's a chance you'll blow one at some point in the day, maybe, or you'll blow it before you get to the payout, but you'll have your other 2 to rely on to finally hit that payout level. And I would keep doing this, and most of them would last 2 or 3 payouts, which is enough. They kept rotating, and I'd always keep 3 on deck. And it was like a positive return on investment at all times. Like the amount I was putting in to buy new accounts would never exceed the payouts that I was getting. So eventually one of the accounts, it's funny because this account I was being extra safe on. Like I would just hit 300 bucks maybe and be like, okay, I'm going to lock this. I'll go harder on the other accounts. And that's the account where it eventually hit, I think it was 5 payouts in a row. And then I got the email, like I was telling my business partner, like, hey, cause he prop trades too. And I was like, hey, this has hit 5 payouts. Am I going to get moved to live? He was like, yeah, you're about to get moved to live. I was like, no, I don't think they will. I haven't gotten any email. And then the next morning I get the email like, hey, you're being moved to live. Then I had an option to, I think, withdraw the amount that I wanted. And the rest would get moved to the balance of the account. Mm-hmm. And at first I was like, damn, I'll only have 1 account now to trade. I can't rotate accounts. So I was kind of bummed about that. I thought I'd be making less. And I think overall I make a bit less now on using a live account, just because I'm not pulling money out of multiple accounts. But I prefer it also in a way. It's kind of, it's almost made me trade better, knowing that if I blow this one, there's no other account that I can go to.
Start all over again.
Start all over. Yeah. And yeah, it's been good. I think I've pulled the total of 13 or 14K from that account, and it's been I think a bit over 2 months, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I just go for a few $100 and then I switch over to my real account and make money on that. Yeah, like I said, I don't go for crazy amounts. If I eventually blow this one day, which I probably will at some point, then I'll again just probably go back to 3 or 4 accounts. And I think I was averaging at least 1,000 to 1,500 a week when I was rotating 2 or 3 accounts, which it was nice. But yeah,
how much have you earned from prop firm accounts at this point, even from just the sim funded accounts altogether?
I haven't tracked the exact amount, but it's over 50K at this point.
Got it.
So yeah, it's definitely a good amount of side income, especially
well above what you originally invested in accounts, right? Which maybe
yeah. I probably invested at most, because like an account costs 200. Yeah, I probably invested at most 3K, maybe 3 to 5K, I think, in that range. Yeah. So it's been like a 10x plus return. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. And you bought free risk in the process without blowing, $500,000.
Yeah, exactly. It's made me a better trader overall, I think. So it's been all wins.
That's great. That's great. And honestly, I think that's what I love about the prop firm trading industry in general. I do think it makes everyone a better trader. The rules are so stringent, so strict, that it's going to force you to think about risk management in a very different way. I know it's done that for me. It's forced me to stop. It's forced me to avoid more of the swing trading approach and have to focus more on just what happens with price action right now and finding those major support and resistance zones. Those are the setups for me as well. But the daily profit part is, I think, the part that people need to wrap their minds around. There's certainly a lot of traders out there that are looking for these huge wins in a single day. They want to see $3,000 in profit or $4,000 in profit in a day for you to be seen as like a successful trader. But the truth is, it seems like in your live account, and the account where you've received consistent payouts, it's the one that you were getting $300 a day on. You know, you hit a small mark.
That's the one that has survived, and that's how I continue to trade it. And yeah, I just feel like prop is something that is meant to be traded consistently versus going for home runs.
That's right. Yeah. Fantastic feedback there. So what else do you think retail traders get like consistently wrong about trading futures or prop firms?
So I said sizing. That's honestly like, I would say that's like 70% of the problem. Let me think what else. I know that earlier we mentioned on our swing trades, we use very wide stop losses. So I think you do need to have a stop loss defined in an area relative to your size. So like if you are someone whose size is bigger, you cannot use wider stop losses. You have to figure out a strategy where you have to use really tight stop losses, and hopefully like, you're a great trader, you figured something out and you can make that work. I personally have not found many or any people that I've watched trade live use really tight stop losses and succeed in the long run. And I know that's the golden standard, finding that 10-to-1 risk reward trade, but I don't think that's sustainable. At the end of the day, the markets are random. Like, we can make our educated guesses and try to be right, but your window to be right needs to be big enough where you can consistently succeed. And when you have these 10-to-1 risk reward trades, I feel like your window to be right becomes so tiny that there's just no way that you can continue to succeed like that. You might hit it once and feel good about it, but I doubt you're going to continue to keep finding trades like that. So yeah, the way to work around that is make your window to be right bigger. And the way to do that is decrease size, widen your stop loss. And in my opinion, if a lot of these traders do that, I think they'll find success.
Sure. I totally agree. I've also gotten to this point where I've thought about moving from thinking more about making a ton of profit in a single day to just adding more trading days. Because at the end of the day, this is really a game of trying to lock in consistent results on a day after day after day basis.
Yeah, the market's not going anywhere. There's no rush.
Right. Just add more trading days. You'll be fine. So what would you say is your next big goal as a trader? Scaling out accounts, or working on other firms, or more automation? What's the thought process?
So are you asking just related to prop trading or just in general?
In general, yeah. I know you do a little bit of options trading still. You've got your leaps, you've got your live futures accounts, you've got some investing you do, and then you have prop trading. How do you envision yourself scaling that out from here?
So I think for my, I've grown like my real account, my real portfolio. Over these past few years, I've managed to beat the market by a good margin, especially this year and the last year, where it's grown a good amount. And I've actually slowly but surely pulled back my risk on it. Like, I still do my leaps, but to give kind of a perspective, I used to maybe put 60, even 70% of my account in leaps, which is, you're going to get a huge return, but your risk is much, much higher. Let's say we enter like a 3-year bear market and your leaps are going to die. Like, leaps are good as long as we don't enter a downtrend for like 2-3 years. So then now that my account has grown to this level, I have maybe 10% of my account in leaps or less. So I've kind of, and I think there's a lesson that a lot of people need to learn is I know that as the money grows quicker and quicker, you want to keep making money at that rate. And but you can pull down the percentage returns a bit. Like, if you have a 5K account versus a $1 million account, on the 5K account, sure, try to double that account in a year or maybe even more. When you have $1 million account, you shouldn't be trading like that, in my opinion. You should put like 70 or 80% of the account in safer just stock and dividend stocks and collect your money, and then sure, be a bit riskier with a smaller percentage. So that's kind of how I see my own investing and trading evolving. As my capital grows, I kind of get more risk averse, and I do my trading with a smaller percentage of my portfolio. And yeah, I just see myself continuing down that path, and then looking over to prop. I don't know. I just want to keep developing my tools to become even better and better. I've seen good success already, but you know that tomorrow's not guaranteed. And just because I'm doing well now, something might happen, or some things might stop working, and then I'll have to again go back to the drawing board and develop some new tools or develop some other method to continue to succeed. Yeah, I think that's the best way I can put it. Just keep improving, finding new setups that work. Right now I have my setups that continue to work, but I'm always looking for, like you mentioned, that other indicator. I'm going to look at that and see if I can maybe pull something out of that. I'm always looking to learn new ways to make money in the market.
Fantastic. Now, is there any reason that you wouldn't just explore setting up 3 accounts with another firm at this point? I was kind of curious when you mentioned that you wanted,
Yeah.
you're kind of bummed that you lost out on that, but there's so many firms to choose from. What keeps you from that?
I was bummed initially, but then that's funny. My business partner says, he tells me that almost every week. Just sign up on another service and start trading all day again. And I think the reason that maybe a lot of your viewers won't like this answer because they're traders and they want to trade. The reason I just stick to that one account now is because I value my time so much. I used to literally just stare at the markets all day, every day.
Yeah, I got you.
I barely look at the market after the market closes. Now I don't look at futures. I make my money during the day. Maybe I'll do one small scalp in Globex, if that. And yeah, it almost feels like I'm retired now, which is a good feeling, even though I desk when the market's open. And I want to basically keep that feeling. I don't want to, at this point, at least in my life, I don't want to go back to just being obsessed with knowing where NQ is at 3 a.m. in the morning. That's how it used to be. When I was, especially when I was swinging those futures, like it was just all day, every day. Even when I was scalping all those accounts, it was like, all right, done with this account, on to the next. Done with this account, on to the next. And it was kind of nonstop. And I like, in a way, it makes you better. It makes you more level-headed. You kind of go into the market with a fresh mindset versus, oh, I just was trading like last night and I'm back again at it now. So yeah, I think that's the main reason that I'm not buying a bunch of other.
Well, I think given what I've learned about your background here and the experience you've had with automation, I wonder if there's an opportunity to let an automated strategy loose to trade on your behalf. Have you considered that path?
Yeah, I'm actually running, I have an automated strategy currently running on a prop account. We just started this like a few weeks ago. And so far it's kind of like, it's break even. It's made money and then it loses money and then it makes money. So it needs some more perfecting, I think. The back test shows that it should make money in the long term, but it definitely hits patches where it just kind of goes up and down. So I'm actually working on that on the side to improve that, to see if we can make it like a profitable payout strategy for prop firms. So it's in the works for now.
And does it follow a similar scalping approach?
It mainly uses mean reversion, so it's actually kind of counter trend. So some days it just works amazing. It'll hit like 10 wins in a row, but then when you get those really strong trend days where the price will just not mean revert and just keep going, it'll kind of get slapped around on those days. So I'm adding more trend detection to it and just a bit more parameters where it can kind of avoid getting wrecked on those days.
Yeah. What about hard and fast rules? Like just if it loses one trade or two trades, then just call it for the day and then move to the next day.
Yeah, it's just it's stuff that we're focusing on. I'm experimenting with a lot of things on it. That's definitely a good point. Like I think I actually did mess around with that, and initially my initial thoughts were it made the back test worse, but it's something I still need to experiment more with, like having kind of like a hard stop of, hey, you've lost 3 trades in a row. That's it for the day.
Yeah.
It might mean that the market is in a very strong trend today, and it's probably best to avoid the rest of the day. But yeah, I'm more so trying to make it where it not only does mean reversion, but it takes trend-based trades. Like if it detects momentum is strong, we're not going to do mean reversion today. We're just going to ride this trend. So that's kind of what I'm working on. Just yesterday and today, that's what I've been working on. Yeah.
I don't often hear people try to meld the two together. In general, there's really 2 types of strategies, either mean reversion or trend, but you're trying to get it to where it switches gears and goes to trend.
Just make it like a God bot, which just
the God bot. Nice.
Yeah.
The holy grail. I love it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, cool. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more about that. Is that something you'll be tweeting about on your X handle?
Yeah, it's in the works. I'll definitely be talking about it on Twitter once we kind of get it to that point where it's like, okay, we're ready to really run this, and we're very confident it'll do well. Because right now we do have a version running, and we're just going off the back test. We know it in the very long term it will do fine. Mm-hmm. It's just it'll hit patches where you're kind of just sitting there like, hey, this trend is super strong. Why are we not riding it? So it's just small stuff like that I feel like we need to correct.
That makes sense. Awesome, man. Well, I'm super impressed. Congrats again for making it to live and all the success you've had so far in your journey. We'll have to check in again in the future here and see how the automation has played out for you on the prop firm side of things. Is there any way that people can get a hold of you outside of X, or is that the main place that people should find you?
Yeah, for now, I think X is the best place to find me. I do have a Discord, but that's just it's where I post all my analysis and everything, and everything I do on my account, I post live with like screenshots and stuff. But if you find me on X, you'll see like a link for that if you really want to sign up. But yeah, I'm pretty active on X, so like even if you leave a comment or shoot me a DM, I'll probably reply pretty soon.
Awesome. Well, we'll grab your handle for X and put that in the show notes, and then they can head to TradeBeacon.io as well, which is your other automation platform where you sell your indicators as well, right?
Yep, that's right.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again for taking the time, Stanzie. I think this has been really insightful. Nice to hear that, there's some confirmation of a lot of trends, or at least a lot of techniques that a lot of prop firms traders tend to use, and you seem to use those as well. So for those listening, I hope you guys take something away from this. We hope to catch up with you soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was great, just talking through everything, and I hope the people listening, they learn something from this, and hopefully that, like in some way, this talk may have improved their trading, because that's the main goal at the end of the day, make everyone better traders.
That's how we feel. We're all about it. Well, thanks again for the insights, man, and your time.
Yeah, thank you.